In today's video, I'm going to walk you through how my first webinar went, show you behind the scenes and how I got people to show up to my webinar, show you the stats, and just break it all down and be transparent with you. So, first of all, elephant in the room. I look like an idiot. I know. I just came from the gym in my garage, which is minus 10 outside. So, I figured let's just record this instead of going up there and showering, getting dressed, all that good stuff, because it would never get done. This video, that is. So, anyways, let's dive into it. So, webinar one in January, I had my first one 3 weeks into the month. And the original intention of this new webinar model for me is to convert my existing audience. So, if you're new to this channel, if you're new to my newsletter, basically what I've done over the last year is just grow my audience on Instagram. And I'm at the point of 58,000 followers on Instagram specifically. And then, of course, I'm on some other platforms that I just started over the last month. But that's my main channel is Instagram. And as of today, up until this point with the webinar model, I've just been booking calls through DMs and it's just exhausting. And I don't feel like going the route of there's a strategy called Sell by Chat where you get some VAs behind the scenes and you initiate conversations and all of that good stuff. And it works. I've done it myself, but I didn't want to hire a team of VAs. I was like, you know what? I've got the audience. Let's see if there's a way where I can systematize things and have more of a system to convert them. And this goes back, this is for a whole other video, but when you look at your mortgage business, you basically have three different buckets. When you look at it holistically, this helps you simplify it. You've got your attract, which is how do you get the leads in? You've got your convert bucket, which is how do you convert those leads to be your customer, your client? And then you've got the deliver, which is how is your client journey? Are you delivering on what you've promised them? Is it a good system for them to come through and start referring other people? So that's how I looked at it this year, early 2026, is I figured I've got the audience, so I've got the attract down pat. Now I just need to work on the convert and the deliver for me. The client journey has always been pretty decent. As of right now, I do need to make some tweaks, but this was the biggest issue in my business was the convert phase. So I was, again, getting booked calls through DMs and they weren't as they were good quality leads, but they weren't vetted properly. There was a lot of people that were booking calls just to chat about their finances because some of my content is revolved around personal finance. So I needed to get rid of those calls because it was blocking up my calendar for people that actually were high intent that needed a mortgage. So this is the route I've decided to go, and I think I've stumbled on the model, and let me share that with you. So my first intention was to have 4 of these per year, quarterly. And after this, I am now going to run it monthly. And then once I've got the webinar down pat, I'm probably going to switch to bi-weekly. And for this reason. So here's the stats. Well, I'm giving everything away quickly. Stats, we've got the registration page. 1,250 people visited the page itself. 341 people registered. There were 73 people that attended. 56 people watched the replay. These are just the percentages on those numbers. So the registration page is something that I do want to increase in terms of the conversion rate, which I'll talk about in a second, and attendance rate as well. I think the industry standard, well, not industry, but the standard for webinars is 20 to 30% for attendance rate. So this is on the lower side. Booked calls, 18. This is the number that I was really happy with, is that that filled up my next 2 weeks very quickly. Closed deals, this is blank because I don't know yet. I have, and I'll probably actually just show you my tracker in a second here, but I've got a lot of people in the application and document phase because this was the last week of January. So we're 2 weeks after, I think. So it's still early days in terms of how many I close here, but my hope with this is that I get 3 closed deals from this, and that seems low, and it probably is low for how many people attended. But keep in mind, this was my first webinar, and I know I'm going to improve over time on the presentation. And I just know that there is a model here where I can even convert more and more people to register for the webinar. And I didn't even really market this that much, which is the exciting part. So, and then of course, if I do this more frequently, then that's more and more closed deals. So my hope is 3 closed deals, which I will report back to you guys when we start getting some deals in. And this is the other side benefit that I didn't expect from this, is that I collected 177 emails. So of course, I've got an email marketing machine on the back end that is booking calls itself as well. So that is the fun part, is that this is just like a nice little cherry on top. And the reason why it's 177 is because the remaining of that 341, they were already on my email list. So what did I do to market this first webinar? So I started with one database promotional email. Then I did 2 database emails, which are my standard weekly network nugget email, which is my newsletter. And I just had a PS call to action at the end of it. So it wasn't a dedicated email to the webinar itself, but I mentioned it at the end in a call to action. And then I did 2 story posts and 1 Instagram reel. So the ones that performed the best was this guy right here, because again, it was very high intent, the email to my database, and it was specifically inviting them to the webinar. So I already knew that was going to do fairly well. And let's see, this one right here, the 2 story posts. So the reason why this one converted really well is because I just used a text-based Instagram story with a call to action to comment a keyword. The reason why I did this is because if you just posted something that said, hey, come join my webinar because you're going to accomplish, or you're going to learn about this, this, and this, then someone might click a link. If you like hyperlinked a registration link there, Instagram hates that. They hate when their people go off platform. So they would much rather have that viewer stay on the platform. So what I did is I hooked up ManyChat and I had them comment a keyword. And the second benefit to this is that when they comment that keyword, it actually engages, it shows engagement to Instagram, the platform. So it boosts that story even further. And one of these story posts, I believe it was 6,000 people viewed the story. So you can imagine, out of 6,000 people, there's going to be some people that sign up for that webinar. And then once they commented the keyword, then it automatically sent them the registration link. So I didn't even have to do anything either, which was the cool part. So like looking at this, that's not a lot of marketing. I can boost that up quite significantly. So I just wanted to keep it low for the first one because it was my first one. I wanted to get my reps in and figure out the structure of the webinar, which is for a whole other video. Reminders. So this was all just built into the webinar software platform that I used. And it was just very bare bones, like, hey, here's the webinar, you registered for it. Here's the link to view the webinar, and here's the time. Nothing else to it. And I just didn't have time to build these out, to be quite honest. So the main issues with what happened after this first webinar was, this is a good problem to have, but my Calendly, the slots were, This one was because there's people booking a call that were like midterm in their mortgage, and they had a fixed rate mortgage with a big bank. There was like a decent amount of them out of the 18. So I already knew, like, going onto that call, that it's going to be a hard sell. And I probably wouldn't even try to sell them to do this. It'd be a hard sell to have them break their mortgage, pay their like $36K penalty just to go into an offset mortgage, Manulife One. I wouldn't be able to live myself even if I were to sell them on that. So I gave them the honest answer on the call. And in my eyes, it's kind of a waste of time. Yeah, I build some relationship and rapport with them, but I'd much rather save that time slot for someone that is coming up for renewal, or if they have a variable rate, which I did have some that had the variable rate, that can be an easy sell because it is a lower penalty. And then I did have, this is the good problem to have, is I had too many people book a call at once after the webinar. So one of the strategies I had in the webinar was I wanted to create some urgency for them to book a call on the webinar. And the way I did that was I told them that there's only 12 time slots. We only take 12 clients on per month. And that is the honest truth. I'm not like weaseling that. That's God honest truth, because we just don't have capacity on my team. It's myself, Brandon, and Kyle, our underwriter at this point. We are hiring to help us with the flow of leads coming in, but that's the most we can take on is 12 per month. So there wasn't enough time slots, and people were starting to fill out the Calendly, and there's a lot of questions that they have to answer to fill it out. So they just a lot of people had to restart, they told me on the call, which was like frustrating for them. So what I did now is I actually created a type form instead of them answering questions in Calendly, which will help because once they complete the type form, they get access to my Calendly, so they don't have to redo all of the information again. So that was a quick fix, but there is still going to be limited time slots because I only book in people from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Monday to Friday, and I might start expanding that a little bit. I don't want to, but I feel like it's leaving money on the table if I don't. Things to work on. So these are like high leverage activities. I just talked about this. I'll start with this one. I'm going to open up some more time slots, but I also want to keep an eye on the conversion rate from these webinar leads. My gut tells me that we're going to have a high conversion rate on these because they're coming to the call understanding the strategy through and through. And to give you some perspective, the webinar was about Manulife One and debt swap. So all of them that booked a call were interested in Manulife One, the offset strategy. There wasn't anyone that had a debt swap situation, so I'm actually going to remove debt swap for the next webinar. And I just want to make sure this conversion rate is at least 20% from lead in to closed. And that'll give me confidence to continue on with this format. But my gut tells me that there is going to be a decent conversion on this, and I'll show you why in a second. So the other thing is I want to, for the reminder emails that go out prior to the webinar, I want to include some case studies in there, like a video going over a budget or even like testimonials. That way it's going to have them show up to the webinar. Or the testimonials would probably come after the webinar, now that I think of it. But yeah, like more incentive for them to show up, which will increase the show up rate. And then thirdly, this is probably like one of the most important ones out of the three, is to continue making tweaks to the registration page for a higher conversion. So I remember I ordered this book, I forget the name of it, Sell to Many by Jason Fladlien. He's considered the webinar guru out of any industry. And one of the things he said was, instead of just working on the small, like look at all of the tweaks you need to make on the next webinar, pick the one that has the highest leverage activity. So for example, number 3 out of, you could argue maybe 2, but I would say keep the tweaks on the registration page is probably going to be higher leverage than the reminder emails trying to convert the people that signed up. Because if you can tweak the registration page and get more people from the 1240 that viewed the page, then it's way higher leverage than any of the other two. So that's probably what I'm going to focus on first. Then this is a simple one. Just open up the time slots and keep an eye on the conversion rate. Okay, so looking over, I told you like I was going to be super transparent with this. This is quite literally the booked calls that I received from the webinar. And these are the different stages that they're in right now. So right off the bat, 4 of them weren't a good fit, and for various reasons. Some of them were that fixed rate issue. Some of them just didn't have that cash flow needed, but that wasn't many of them. Most of them that came to the call all had strong cash flow. And because I doubled down on that statement in the webinar to make sure that they weren't booking a call if they were just breaking even or worse, negative. So 2 in the application sent. So you can argue that, hey, maybe they're not as motivated as the others. Application started. So this client here has started the application, and I hid the people's names here, but they're all individual people, households. And then I've got 4 in the application submitted / document collection phase. So some of them are on vacation right now, and the other 2 are, like, as of today, starting to give us some documents with their application. So that's great. 3 pre-approved, and we say pre-approved even if it's a renewal or refi. So we just sent out the custom proposal to them. So now we're waiting on confirming like which term and all that good stuff going forward. So that's 3 potential deals right there. I'm really excited for some of these to convert and actually go live, because then I can report back to you guys. 3 that are in limbo. And the reason why I added a stage called limbo is because some of them are getting a penalty quote. So one of them, for example, just got an email back from her. She got a quote for $7,000 penalty. She's got the variable. So that's probably going to work because it is a bigger mortgage, and we're going to show her the savings there. And the other two are I'm still waiting on. And yeah, and then another one down here, application submitted / document collection. So I'm confident you've got 4, 5 in the application process, 3 that we've sent out custom proposals to, and these are in limbo. I'm pretty confident at the very least 1 to 3 closed deals from this. I'm optimistic to get 3+. And I think that's a pretty good conversion on 18 booked calls. So that's what gets me excited is like I may have figured out the model. I don't know anyone else in the industry that's doing this at this scale. If you do know someone, please connect me with them because I would love to collaborate with them. But I think step 1 for you might be, okay, like build your audience. Step 2, maybe you are someone that wants to build a webinar system on the side as well to convert your existing audience. That's cool. But just know this is a lot easier when you have your existing audience. And that's why I preach, build a brand, focus on social media. You got a lot of old school brokers out there that bash social media because they've lived the referral partner route, which is cool. But I'm telling you, it's a game changer. So hopefully this was helpful, and expect more from me coming down the pipe. Cheers.